shining lights. Yeah, a different city every night. Oh, I swear the world better prepare for when I'm a billionaire.
It's time to get down to business on the weekend's #1 business program. Known as the King of Networking, your host Shalom Klein has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and created countless jobs. So, to success. Let's get down to business.
To success, and let's get down to business. I am Paula Peterson in for Shalom Klein, who is currently serving our country. Thank you, Shalom. And today, my guest is Zach Gay, Business Development Manager of Tandem HR. And this is where I get to say every week, Get Down to Business is brought to you by, actually powered by, Tandem HR. So welcome.
That's right. Thanks so much for having me. Probably a year or two since I was last on.
Okay.
I had a client on with us, and we had some great conversations. So I appreciate you having me back.
I'm happy that you're here today. We had Salo on a couple weeks ago, so he, of course, offered great information. But I want your point of view, because you are the business development manager for Tandem HR.
That's correct.
And you're in Westchester. I know exactly where you are. So, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what's a PEO? Why you always hear this word PEO? I'm like, What's a PEO?
Yeah, our industry is laden with acronyms, and
yes,
it's a little bit difficult to decipher them sometimes. So I'll help you out with that.
Okay.
PEO is Professional Employer Organization. Professional Employer Organization really is just a term for a business partner. We partner with small, mid-sized businesses from 10 to 500 employees. And we help them in a variety of ways. The best way to look at us is an administrative services and strategic partner on the back end. And what I kind of clarify that as is the non-revenue generating business expenses, your necessary evils, if you will, the things that have to get done like payroll, benefits, HR, retirement, risk, et cetera.
And how does a company, what in their learning? I'm running a business, I'm freaking out. What's going on that they pick up the phone and they say, I need this service. Who does that? What is that for them?
Yeah,
what does
absolutely.
that look like?
Yeah, so that's a great question. There's a myriad of things that could occur. I like to classify it in 3 different areas because when I'm out there in meetings and on the streets, I see 3 different scenarios. One being, and commonly you have a small employer who maybe started out with 5, 6, 7 employees. And they've grown. They've experienced some growth, which is extremely positive for their business. But what's happened is they've opened their eyes one morning and they've been employees. And now there's a compliance issue. There's certain policies and procedures where they may have been winging it before and it might have been working. In that scenario, they have 2 choices. They can either bring in somebody, a full-time HR director or HR VP of HR. That person's going to be one person. They're going to be a great addition to the team, but they're only one person so much. Or alternatively, they could contact someone like Tandem, and Tandem HR can provide all the services and support that an HR team could provide in addition to some added resources like more cost-effective benefits, more cost-effective retirement. So that's kind of scenario 1. And the other 2 are a larger company who's maybe having some turnover in that HR director role, and they say, hey, before we really go out and start recruiting, let's take a breath. Is there another option? And option 3 is, I run into this all the time with attorneys, with law firms. Mm-hmm. I've got an attorney with a $400 or $500 billable option to pay, pushing the payroll an hour a week, even if it's an hour a week.
That's costing them huge amounts of revenue.
It's huge. And what you end up finding is outsourcing, which is HR outsourcing, is really what a PEO does.
Okay.
And what you end up finding is these companies are already outsourcing their HR and their admin functions. They're just doing their HR and their admin functions. They're just doing it to 5 or 6 different vendors.
Oh, and you bring it all under one roof.
Exactly.
Okay.
So picture it this way. If you have a client with 60 employees and you have some turnover, you need to recruit somebody, bring someone on. You may have to go to an employment labor attorney to have to bring them on, go through paper I-9s, W-4s, et cetera. And then you've got to call your benefits broker, your workers' comp broker, your retirement consultant, your payroll company, on and on and on.
Oh my
just
gosh,
to get
so
this person's on.
Yeah. So now all I have to do is basically call one person, have a call one person, have a representative. So take us through that.
Sure.
So I'm to that point now where I realize, I've heard about Tandem HR. I've gone online. I've Googled it. I've read some articles, and I make the phone call. What happens next? That goes to you or your department, right?
Likely I would actually do a kind of a quick discovery call and then set up goals and needs over the next 6, 12, 18 months and see where we could fit in. And the nice thing about us being privately held and being the largest privately held PEO in the Midwest is that we can be real flexible and customizable. So we work with them and we kind of figure out what they need, where they need to be. And then we can bring all those functions under one roof and assign them a strategic HR team, which will be SPHR or PHR certified, 5 to 10 years minimum experience, and really be their advocate in a day-to-day. But from this point, they're actually able to use even our technology platform and our resources to onboard or offboard that person. It's essentially a click of a button or one phone call to your point. Board that person, it's essentially a click of a button or one phone call to your point. They're not going to 6 different places.
Oh, that's so nice. That's so convenient for people. If you're just tuning in, this is Paula Peterson, and you are listening to Get Down to Business. And I'm talking to Zach Gay, who is the Business Development Manager of Tandem HR. And Tandem HR is for that. We've been working with you for a long time, but I think it's always good for you to come on and remind everybody of the services that you provide. This is a business show. So
absolutely.
Let's go back then to that customer journey. I really like this because it's not often, when you just do a commercial person saying, what they do in 60 seconds. But here you really have an opportunity to say, this is what we can do for you. Are you partners with like Blue Cross Blue Shield and how
Sure.
And when you say that they have their healthcare broker, who I know about that, was people like that have advertised with us. What does that look for you?
Yeah, sure. So that's a great question because we do have a new relationship. It's about a year old with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois.
That's awesome.
And we're very excited about this relationship. For those listening, Blue Cross Blue Shield, all the carriers are great, and I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but a lot of people consider in the Chicagoland area, in the Illinois market and several other places in the country, Blue Cross is kind of the Cadillac. And Blue Cross, they pay their claims. They have great customer service. They're pretty responsive, and they have a fantastic network of providers. So we've been in this relationship now for a year. It's performing extremely well. And really, the concept is that our clients of 10 employees or 100 employees or anywhere in between or greater than that, they can join our large group health plan in our pool and buy that insurance at a fraction of the cost that they could do so on their own. We increase their buying power and we leverage their economies of scale.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
That's something with retirement. But with Blue Cross, you're giving them the absolute best carrier at the best price with a consistent, steady renewal and fantastic service to back it up.
And I think what I really like about Tandem HR, I've had the opportunity to tour the offices, meet a lot of people. I've been working with you for a long time, is that your ongoing education and the way you educate your actual partners is really impressive. I mean, I know that you do special client events and times when you're able to bring everybody together to learn. Tell us, how does that affect that relationship? Because I feel like that's different.
Yeah, it is. We really pride ourselves on being a high-touch organization. I talked about us previously we're privately held, so we have some more flexibility. But we have clients who, we're on site quite often. We have clients who are in phone and email and everywhere in between. But having those events, our client event is coming up here in August or September. We like that opportunity because it gets everyone together. We typically do an educational piece where people can have a nice takeaway, a tangible item of, hey, I learned this today. Thanks for putting this on. And they get to interact with each other. Thanks for putting this on. And they get to interact with each other. In addition,
that's a networking benefit to other people, because whenever we do that here, whenever you bring clients together, it's an opportunity for them to do business, and they look at that as a bonus or a benefit as well.
Absolutely. It's a great value add, and it's a win-win for all parties involved. Our partners are really benefiting from education and training and compliance updates and things like that, because the industry is changing so quickly.
Yeah.
And unless you're in this business, it's a little bit difficult to stay on top of it.
Oh no, I can't imagine. How big is your team?
Yeah, so we've got about 120 employees. We're real excited. We're headquartered in Westchester, right outside of Oak Brook. We've got an office on Wacker downtown. We have a new office in Milwaukee we're real excited about in the 3rd Ward. It's a beautiful location right in the river.
I love 3rd Ward,
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
I don't get up there as often as I'd like to, but it's
Although I'm
beautiful.
pretty partial to your Westchester location because I can walk to it from my house. So that's nice.
Yeah, and then we are expanding. We have a
So you said
operation.
Westchester, Milwaukee, and now you're downtown.
Downtown, and then we also have a partnership in St. Louis and working on something in Michigan coming soon.
Fantastic. Well, Zach, it's been great. Stick around because I have so much more to ask you. You've been listening to Get Down to Business. I'm your host today, Paula Peterson, and we will be right back with more information that you can use for your business. So, hey, this is Paula Peterson, and you are listening to Get Down to Business. I am speaking today with Zach Gay, Business Development Manager of Tandem HR, and Get Down to Business is powered by Tandem HR. If you ever need services, it's so simple. Just go to tandemhr.com. They have a beautiful website, user-friendly, and Zach's right here, and he can tell you other ways to reach them as well. But right before we took a little break, we were talking about some of the ways that you are able to work with businesses and I mean, you have locations, you're all over. I mean, you really are a full comprehensive HR payroll solutions for people. But one of the things that I think that impresses me about you is that there is really no cookie cutter solution for any one business. So, I mean, can you give us any
Absolutely. In this industry, well, we touch so many different parts of an employer's business or a client's business, whether it be payroll, risk, retirement, HR, compliance, tax, health insurance, you name it. You really need to be flexible. That's the name of the game. So being able to adapt and not to have this box and say our client has to fit in it. But really, what do you need? And we'll create the box. And so, there's a lot of opportunities for cost savings and for reduction in turnover, things like that. But if we don't map out that initial conversation correctly, the rest of it doesn't really matter. So, I can definitely give you an example, Paula. Outsourcing and PEOs. A lot of people think administrative, and they think, okay, well, they're our payroll processor. They're going to do our taxes. They're going to do our W-2s. And that's all true, and that's all great. But what they don't think is strategic partner.
Oh, and that's huge. Anything strategic, strategy, planning, customization, strategy, planning, customization.
Yep.
I mean, that is what people need right now.
Absolutely. And with, legislation changing every time the wind blows,
yes.
you really
a lot
need
of rules,
to have some,
regulations. We see that here, right?
Absolutely. So, I can give you a quick example. We have a client who, Minnesota, and that client had about 50 employees, and they were looking at acquiring. Now, 50 is a tough number because 50 is when FMLA kicks in,
right.
ACA, healthcare reform. So a lot of companies are like 46, and then they call us and they're like, hey. But really what we're talking about is a company who is up in Minnesota. They're acquiring an organization here in Chicago that's about the same size as them. So not only are they looking to double, but they're looking at 2 different handbooks, 2 different policies and procedures. Most of all, they're concerned with how are we going to make this benefits package equal this benefits package? How are we going to find a happy middle ground?
So they have to merge that.
They have to merge.
To work on with them.
That's correct. The question I ended up asking them was, what about the culture? And they kind of looked at me with a blank stare and said, what do you mean the culture? Look at all these policies and procedures. I said, I get that. And we're going to take care of that. I promise you. But how are the employees going to be affected? How are you going to make this to be, the culture you want it to be, and to continue your goals through your culture? And so what we ended up doing was putting together a strategic solution, doing some digging, asking some questions, and you have a client who has one location that they've had for a long time that's run like a boot camp, for lack of a better term, and then they're acquiring one who's potentially I don't want to say frat house, but
Sure,
but
just a little bit more.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right, and both
laid
fantastic
back.
companies, but you've got people who are taking half-hour lunches and they're back and they're there at 7:59 in the morning and they're gone at 5:01 p.m. and then 1 p.m. and then you've got another organization who's they start drinking at 3 on a Friday at the office. And that's, a perfect balance is definitely part of the game. But what we were able to do is have a strategic conversation on culture and help them to come off not as the bad guy, but as the empowering the employees and offering new benefits and increasing efficiencies and still having fun while doing it.
Yeah.
And then the administrative stuff gets figured out.
See, I love that because I think companies don't realize without the employee, you have no company. And right now, the job market is hot and people are hiring and people can go anywhere they want right now. And so if you don't have, that's really big. I mean, one of my questions for you was going to be, how do you deal with the whole new millennial generation? Their expectations are so different than the generation Xers that I'm in, or the baby boomers who are sort of now leaving the job market. Like, how do you deal with that? Am I too far off base?
No, not at all.
Because I think that kind of goes with your story. I mean, that's a big deal. That's a big deal to people.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that because we did a segment for our clients last year on how to deal with the millennial world. Something that I don't have the statistics in front of me, but they're going to make up the majority of the workforce, if not already, very soon. And you see on millennials LinkedIn, you'll see bouncing around job to job and another couple of grand a year, and they're out.
Oh, they don't care.
And reality is that benefits do matter to millennials. You think it's all just about pay, but it's about growth opportunity. It's about being able to feel valued and respected in the industry, in your business. So it is a culture fit. So we can help define all that, and we can help the employer and the client partner really map out what's your target market here, who are we trying to go after, and how do we best differentiate ourselves from your. So that's definitely a piece that is.
I think
huge.
that's so important. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Get Down to Business. I'm Paula Peterson. I'm talking to Zach Gay from Tandem HR, and Get Down to Business is powered by Tandem HR. And one of the things we were just talking about, like working, you're customizing your everybody's situation. Working, you're customizing your everybody's situation is different. We all know that. I mean, that's just life, right? Everybody's different. But I'm thinking that with all that and having everything under one roof, you're able to offer a pretty considerable savings to people.
Absolutely.
If you're not piecemealing it here and there and are you saving people revenue and costs, but you're saving them the most precious thing of all, time.
Yep. So just like I mentioned, there's an administrative piece and a strategic piece to what we do. There's also, when you think about it, there's a hard dollar savings and a soft dollar savings. And our goal is always to, we're not going to let a couple dollars get in the way of a fruitful relationship with a client, but our goal is always to provide as much value as we can at the most affordable cost we can. But there's a huge soft dollar savings and increase in efficiencies. And by having a strategic partner and having a single source under one umbrella, than there is mentioned earlier.
Right.
And that being said, though, one of the keys about being flexible is we have a fantastic relationship with health insurance brokers, with workers' comp and P&C brokers, and we actually have a ton of strategic partners there. And what they do is they say they might come
what's
to
P&C brokers?
So property casualty or workers' comp, people who handle the other side of the business. Property casualty or workers' comp, people who handle the other side of the business.
Got it.
We don't have to do everything. We like to if it makes sense, but there's no silver bullet. Our Blue Cross Blue Shield plan, I told you, is performing fantastic. Our risk programs, our retirement programs, we love them. But we have brokers come to us and say, hey, Tandem, can you guys do this? And, I want a relationship. I want to handle the workers' comp, but my client needs you. Or benefits brokers all the time coming to us and saying, hey, some other PEO is out there talking to my client and they might leave. Can we work together?
Oh, I like that.
Working on that right now.
Because that collaborative relationship is what's now.
Absolutely.
I think that anybody who's running a business, you want to be able to collaborate with somebody, bring somebody else in, but still retain your client who's your favorite. They're like family.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now you want to make changes for them, but you want to know who you're bringing on board is somebody that's going to benefit not just your relationship, but really the company. You want to do what's right. you want to do it
You
right.
got it. We appreciate that relationship and respect it.
So Tandem HR, what's the easiest way to reach you? And and tell them again, just briefly, what that step looks like.
Yeah. So, Tandem HR really is a professional employer organization with a high touch service model that can help overcome those back office challenges as you continue to grow and help site directly. You can fill out a survey on there, get some more information, www.tandemhr.com. You can also find us on LinkedIn, on social media, and you can reach me directly on my cell phone. My cell phone is 630
That's okay, go ahead.
272-3272. It's all 630
That's okay, go ahead.
272-3272. It's always on.
Okay. You might get a lot of phone calls now. I can't
That's okay.
I can't say that you won't.
That's okay.
I know. Tandem HR, you know what I like about the website? First of all, it's so usable. I love it. When you freshened it up and you relaunched, it was really nice. I like that. I need a size of your company. You have a self-service center. It's so easy. You go right to the person. And then, of course, it's that customized professional touch that you're offering.
You got it.
Well, Zach Gay from Tandem HR, thank you so much for being on today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much to Tandem HR for powering Get Down to Business. And if you've been tuning in to Get Down to Business each week, you notice that Shalom is not here. He is off serving our country right now. I know that he got through basic training and he's doing great. So I wanted to let you know that. And please, let's tune in next week. This has been Paula Peterson with Get Down to Business.